So are you one, or do you have good boundaries? You got to pick, right? I mean, I've got good boundaries. I know who I am that I am, and that's all that I am, said Popeye the Sailor Man. You know, I've got this very strong sense of self. But then what about the other side of it? What about the oneness? What about I am you, and you are me, and he is me, and we are all together, cuckoo-cuckoo, you know? These are the two sides. They found that people who have near-death experiences have a shift in two different areas. First of all, they find themselves fully present with the people around them. They have a capability, after they have a near-death experience, of being fully present with the people around them. That's oneness, right? They also simultaneously find that they prioritize themselves and they stop being people pleasers. They have good boundaries. These sound mutually exclusive, don't they? But they're not. They're two sides of the same coin. The oneness that's beyond time and space expresses in these two ways. And we're going to talk about how to find an open, strong, flowing heart and be a person with good boundaries and yet celebrate the oneness that we are. I celebrate the oneness that I am. Together? I celebrate the oneness that I am with good boundaries. Together? With good boundaries. But how does this work? How do we get in touch with it? You know, you gotta get in touch with that heart. You can't figure it out. You can't think it through. Because in addition to people who had near-death experiences, they also found people who had spontaneous remissions. The people who had those miraculous healings that Harvard studied, all of them, before they had their healings, had a shift in these two areas as well. They became capable of being fully present with the people around them, but they also didn't just say yes to every old thing. You know, I experienced this in my very first church. Thank God for my very first church. Because I really learned so much about what love was and what love wasn't. And a lot of my illusions got exploded in my face. If you ever had an illusion about love, an illusion about what you thought goodness was, or kindness was, or lovingness was, and it didn't quite work, and we tried to get it to work and it didn't work, we spend so much of our time trying to hammer square pegs into round holes because we have these ideas in our heads about what's supposed to be. But the reality, the flowing heart reality, is so much deeper, so much richer, and so much different than we have in mind. When I went to my first church, I thought, I just love everybody. I just love everybody. They'll love me back. And then one of my classmates said, gosh, I love I was one of the last person in my class to get placed in a church. I was actually the first to get placed, the last one to take a church. That's another story. But I'd heard from all my other classmates, and one of them said to me, Greg, I just love my church. I love ministry. I just wish there weren't all those people in it. And so how do you do this? Don't you love your family? Oh, I love the abstract concept of family. I just wish there weren't all those people in it. You know? A church, oh my gosh. Your work, your neighbors, everything, or yourself. Oh my gosh. How do you find this balance? How do you find this balance between self-differentiation, which is good boundaries, and oneness, which is that, we call love? In my first church, I thought, we were in a neighborhood that had a lot of homeless people, and they would come in and they'd want money. And I said, well, of course. So we got a big wad of bills. And we'd pass out what today would be $20. It was $5 in those days, a long time ago. But we'd pass them out to everybody. Everybody got a bill. And it was so loving. It made me feel so good until they wanted more than the bill. And a couple of them had knives, and they told their friends, and the addicts started showing up. And it was a tough part of LA, suburban, but still close to them. And it was some tough stuff. Oh, wait, that didn't work. Better idea. You go to the supermarket, you get gift certificates, and you give those out. But even then, it was the same kind of thing. No, I don't want that. I want some cash. And it became very interesting. And then I started checking with the other ministers in town, because they'd had little experience more than this 27-year-old. And so I went and I talked to them, and they said things like, oh, we have a food pantry, and we send everyone to the food pantry. And it's wonderful, and we take care of all their needs. But if you give out cash, you can't be a part of it. Because you're endangering all of us. Oh my gosh, boundaries. But what about love? What about the lovingness? But you have to have balance. You have to have balance. Good boundaries, self-differentiation. And then I read about heart cells. You know about heart cells? You know that if you take individual heart cells, they do that in labs, they take individual heart cells and they place them in a dish, they beat, but they beat differently from each other. They just kind of beat different rates. But if they clump them together, they beat as one. So there's something about synchronicity and joining together, and there's that oneness. Isn't that good? Okay. But there's something else about heart cells or any cells. They have not walls, but membranes. Did you know cells really don't have walls? You know about cell walls? No, they don't have walls because walls means nothing can go in and out. And we in our lives, sometimes we put up walls. We put up walls. We cut ourselves off from other people. It's not boundaries anymore. You know, it's them versus us. But a cell doesn't have a wall. It has a membrane. What does the membrane do? It lets the good stuff come in and out and flow. And the not so good stuff has a harder time getting in and out, you know? And there's a balance there. I have membranes, not walls, together. I have membranes, not walls. But on the other hand, then there's that oneness, because the cell doesn't exist by itself. The heart cell just beats at random. It doesn't do any good anywhere. It has to be part of a greater whole. And it finds its purpose and its meaning in what it holds in common and shares with all the other cells. You find your meaning in what you hold in common with all the other people around you, but you got good boundaries. You find your purpose in a sense of oneness with all other life, including all other people, but you have good boundaries. Both and. But not at the same time. This is an interesting dynamic. I don't want to get too heady about it, but I learned about this from my mentor back in the early 1990s, Dr. Mary Allen, great psychiatrist, very well known in California, one of the founders of cognitive behavioral therapy and the human potential movement. And she had been practicing many years when she came into my church, and then years later I worked with her every week. And she shared with me about this balance. And she shared that every individual has two sides, and they must both be honored. The unique individual and oneness. And that there's times when it's appropriate to come from oneness, and there's times it's appropriate to come from a unique individual, and you can't really come from both at the same time. So it's not a matter of walking down the middle of the road between oneness and unique individual. It's about a dance that moves fluidly between boundaries and oneness. And you say, how the heck can I do that? I have a hard time just dealing with myself, but I have to deal with all these people. And what do? How do you meet the needs of the people around you, but not their wants? What is the difference? The difference is that person needs something from you. They need something from you. But one thing they don't need is your control. Emily Cady, I just taught Lessons in Truth, the Unity textbook. And she says in Lessons in Truth, your brother does not need you to try to lift him up. You do not know what God wants to do in him. You can never know. Then let him alone. If you want to help others who are not yet awakened to do that knowledge, Spirit will teach them more in a day than you could in years. So turn them over to Spirit. Wow. I heard a therapist say, I changed my job description from helping others to helping others grow. And helping others grow includes innate within the definition that there's some things that you don't help them to do, which strengthens them to choose to do it themselves. Because underneath these two seeming opposites is a deeper oneness, but it only exists in the level of the Spirit of us. And that is where we're headed, where we came from, and what we're here to unfold. And we're here to unfold this Spirit within us by exercising our souls, our cell selves, in this balanced way, to find this balance between these two sides. You know, Jesus was confounding. He seemed to contradict himself frequently. People say, well, Jesus said, love your neighbor, go the extra mile, turn the other cheek. Yeah, and he also said to people, to his disciples, shake the dust off your feet and walk away. And he said to Judas, what you have to do, go do it quickly. You know, just go on and let it loose him and let him go. He said about his mother and his brothers, who are my mother and my brothers? These people, the ones who do the will of God, are my mother and brothers. And he just left them alone until they came around. This is a tough situation. It's very challenging because many of us find it very comfortable. We become fixated on boundaries until they become walls. Or we become very comfortable with what we thought was oneness, and it becomes mushy. You know, my very first church, I learned so much about this. Besides the homeless people, we finally ended up, joining the food pantry, and it became very healthy. But there are other things that happen. I was in an environment where people would drive up. I'd never seen them. They didn't come on Sundays, and they'd say, "I'm here for my oil change." I'd say, "Oil change? Yeah, I don't know how to change oil." Well, the last minister did. Well, the last minister actually was the minister before last, so apparently they hadn't had their oil change for like 3 years. But that minister had been there for 27 years, and he would go to people's houses and clean out their garages, and people would bring me their lists, and they'll go shopping, and they had cars and they could do it themselves. It was just the way it was, and I realized that if I was going to meet everybody's wants, I'd be, burned out. So I learned to discern what does this soul need together? What does this soul need? And what they need is not necessarily what they want. But how do you know what they need? Well, they do need love, but love shows up sometimes very quietly. And as my mentor, Dr. Mary Allen, said, sometimes you need to create enough distance so that you can safely love. That's not wrong. But to do these things in a state of balance. How do you find the state of balance within your soul where you have healthy boundaries like heart membrane, and so that you can change your job description from helping others to helping others to grow, which by definition sometimes means you might help less. Boundaries in a church? Who would have thought? But it's healthy. I love Martha Creek told this story about this family who called her up, and they said, "We want you to go visit somebody that she knew. She was serving in a church. They're dying." And she said, "I'll be right there." They said, "You didn't hear me. I said they're dying. I heard you, and I'll be right there." "You don't sound like you're upset at all. I said they're dying. You're not listening to me." She says, I did hear you, and I'm going there." "Well, why aren't you upset?" And she said, "In that moment, I looked in my heart and I asked myself, can I find any upset in myself? And I couldn't find it. I couldn't find upset because I saw that person whole and total and free, and I couldn't find the upset. And this person was outraged at me because I wouldn't get upset with them." She said, I didn't argue with them. I just got in my car, I drove, I went to the person. They opened their eyes, we hugged, I shared my love with them. And when they got better, they got totally over their terminal illness. They said that the turning point was when she showed up, and they said, I woke up out of whatever coma they were in, and I looked in your eyes, and I knew in that moment that there was something else that could happen. There was a possibility. Now, what did she do? She held the high watch. And she did so in the face of maybe somebody who wasn't too happy with her doing it. Okay, so in your life, how can you have that self-differentiation? You can choose not to try to meet everybody's wants, but you choose to meet their needs. My philosophy of ministry is twofold. One, meet the needs of the person in the third row. I've got 7 of them, so I don't know how I'm going to do that, because you're all different, right? But meet the needs of the person in the third row. That's the first. And the second is work on myself. Work on myself. Today's talk is how to fix everybody else. Just kidding. But the truth is, I'm not going to talk about everybody else, because if you want to support the people around you, the first thing you got to do is make sure that you're healthy. If there's somebody around you that's really upsetting you, that's always a wake-up call to work on yourself. That doesn't mean that they don't have problems, but right now, as Jesus said, don't worry about the speck of dust in their eye. You got a plank in your own eye. Work on yourself. Work on your own perceptions. Work on your own boundaries. Work on your own consciousness. And don't fall into the trap of thinking that you can fix everyone and everything around you. You have in yourself. You have value because you were created in the image likeness of God. You have value not because of what you've done good or bad or what you have or haven't done. You have innate value. It's there at the core of your being. It was placed in you at the beginning of time. And you don't have to do anything to prove it. And you just have to go into that heart, find that heart, get in touch with that heart, and live from that heart. And know that you have value. My philosophy is meet the needs, not the wants of the people in the congregation, and also work on myself. And I once was at a ministers' conference, and there was a panel discussion. And there were about 5 ministers there, and I happened to be the first one to speak. And I shared what I thought was the non-controversial. Right? Who could be offended by that? Well, the next minister was offended by it. And let everybody know in certain terms, that was terrible what I said, that meeting the needs of other people, and especially working on yourself, is not what you should be doing. You should create all these systems and all these outer things, and this is what you should do, and do. He burned out 2 years later and left the ministry. So, finding out what's yours to do, meeting the needs, not the wants of the people around you. And how do you discern that? Well, sometimes just ask the question of your own heart. Go into your heart and say, what does this soul need? Together? What does this soul need? And be prepared to be surprised. Sometimes it's no intervention at all. Sometimes you don't go out and change their oil or clean their garage. Sometimes you do when it's appropriate. How do you know the difference? You work on yourself enough to know the difference. And this is such a beautiful thing. If you get your attention off of all the other people around you and you place it on yourself, and that's not selfish, that's just being responsible, and start to look at where do I have the plank of wood in my own eye, and work on creating your own inner contact with that inner soul of you, that inner heart of you, that place within you that knows. Then you'll know what to do for anybody else. And one of the things I learned in that church too was, if it didn't get in my face, I didn't address it. You see, at first in that environment, I would go around trying to fix everybody. I would go around trying to, I try to anticipate needs and figure out and try to explain it. Jesus didn't try to explain it to Judas. He just said, just go do what you got to do and do it quickly. Just let it go. And I tried to do this and it didn't work. So finally I went into prayer and I asked and I opened up and I was meditating, and what I got was, unless it comes into your space, let it go. Don't try to address it. And to the extent that I was willing and able to do that, everything worked out great. But boy, the minute I got out of that place and started going around fixing, it would always blow up in my face. I never could understand why, until I realized, no, I've got to take care of my own spiritual growth and then meet the needs of the people around you. Ask yourself, in your families, you have things that you wish that they would understand, that you could just get that across to them. But remember what Emily Cady said, your brother does not need you to try to lift him up. To try to lift him up. You lift him up every time you move into your higher consciousness. You lift him up every time that you plug into that heart space within you and you are able to connect. Remember, the people who have the near-death experiences and have the spontaneous remissions are those who are fully present with the people around them, while also not being a people pleaser. Being fully present sometimes means that you go, oh, what this person is saying isn't what they're really asking for. What this person is saying is not what they really need. And being willing to deal with it when the person doesn't necessarily like it. Jesus was great with boundaries. He said, let your yeses be yes and let your no's be no. He never said, let your no's be hell no. He was not about being obnoxious or trying to seek dominance over other people or be overpowering. But he was about having good cell membranes. A number of quotes from him. He said, shake the dust off your feet. Shake the dust off your feet if there's somebody who doesn't hear what you have to say, so they want to argue politics. You just shake the dust off your feet and get the heck out of there. Or they want to argue with you about religion, or you want to argue with them about religion. Shake the dust off your feet. He said, don't cast your pearls before pigs. That's a heck of a strong thing to say. It's the old Texas saying, never try to teach a pig to sing. It wastes your time and it annoys the pig. You know, don't try to get other people to see your point, or intrusively try to get that point across. He said the disciples were arguing with each other about status. They wanted to be one up on the other one. And he said, what's that to you? Follow me. These are all different things he did. Another thing he said was, get up, pick up your mat and walk. He was all about setting the appropriate boundaries. So look into your life and ask yourself, where do I need boundaries? And where in my life have I set up walls and I need oneness? The other side of that equation. Where have I cut myself off? Because you see, if you have good boundaries, you don't have to set up walls. And it's the most interesting thing. When you have good boundaries, you are free to love because the good stuff is able to come in and out of the membrane. We're involved in something called the Unexpected Income Program. And the person whose CD that we're giving out is Edwene Gaines. And she had a very interesting experience she shared with me when she went to her father's 84th birthday. It had to do with boundaries and not trying to get other people to change. You see, she was raised in a small Texas town in a Southern Baptist family, and her father knew to the core of his being, without a shadow of a doubt, that no woman was ever meant to be an ordained minister, including his own daughter. And she let him have his feelings. She loved him. She would not argue with him. She would not change her behavior. She would just do what she had to do and let him be free. His 84th birthday came around. Now there's something interesting about aging if we do it right. The Gallup poll shows that people get happier the older they get. Every 20 to 30, 30 to 40, 40 to 50, all the way up till you're in your 80s, people actually, in terms of self-assessment, are happier. Why is that? Probably because they got some of the rough edges sanded off of them. Probably because they learned a thing or two. By the way, when they hit the 90s, it kind of falls down, but it's still better than the 70s. So it's still got something to look forward to. So here's her father. He's 84 years old, and he's starting to get a clue. And he's treating her a little differently, and she just gets the feeling. It's all over her. She feels that oneness, the pull from heart to heart, and she says to him, Dad, I'm going to be speaking at the local Unity Church tomorrow. I want you to come and hear me. Well, I suppose I could do that. Well, he came in, he sat in the very back of the room by himself, like this. She gave the talk, and afterwards he waited till everybody else was gone. He walked up to her, and he put his hands on her shoulders, and she thought, oh boy, I'm going to get it now. And he said, please forgive me. I didn't know who you were. Sometimes, like with Jesus and his family, as St. Teresa of Avila said, patience attains everything. Now, it doesn't necessarily make everybody change according to your tune, but it's very interesting how time and patience teaches us all so much. And in this situation, and the reason why is because she let it go. Infinite patience produces immediate results. I remember hearing that quote. But if you really are patient, the results immediately are that you find peace in your own heart because you stop trying to take the speck of wood out of their eye. You're starting to take care of your own consciousness. So this is challenging. Somebody came out the first service and said, boy, I love it when you go on the deep end, off the deep end. But on the deep end, get into the deep stuff. This is deep stuff, but it's practical. It's real. And it's based in reality. Now you say, but isn't everything just oneness? Deeper than these pairs of opposites is a oneness that has no opposite. And that's where we're all headed. And we exercise our strong heart, our flowing heart, in order to experience that deeper oneness. But sometimes our heart needs a Roto-Rooter. You know, at my house, yesterday, the Roto-Rooter people came over. the sewer was backed up. I couldn't figure out what's this drain doing or whatever. And then realized it was only happening when there were baths taken, so there was a lot of water, and detective. So then the rooter person came, and they rooted it out. And I went, oh, as above, so below, everything in life is symbolic. I know I do this. And what came to me was, oh, God, roto-rooter my heart. Together. God, roto-rooter my heart. God, unstick my heart. Together. God, unstick my heart. You know, we have experiences in life that roto-rooter our hearts. And you say, but that roto-rooter was noisy. And it had these little teeth on it. And it's very intrusive. And those situations sometimes need to be in order to roto-rooter out so that we can get into the flowing, don't think about it too much, the flowingness of your soul, the flowingness of your heart, the flowingness of your being. And that balance point between having good differentiation, having cell membranes, and the flowing, that part of us that's one. You are one with everyone, everything in the deepest level of your being. And God made you as a unique individual to express. And both are true. And you already know, there's a part of you that already knows what to do and when to do it and how to do it, what to say, when to say it, how to say it. But it's not this part. This part doesn't know much besides how to balance your checkbook and maybe pay your taxes. This part. And so let's move into this part. So we move into that flowing roto-rooter heart. We just say, God, open my heart. Open my heart. Thank you for the experiences of my life that open my heart. Thank you for the experiences of life that make me able to discern when it's time to express myself as a unique individual, and when it's time to express myself as dwelling in oneness and community with others. And I'm so grateful for all the experiences in life. All of them, whether I label them good or bad, all these experiences are here to grow me, to wake me up, and to open my heart. God, free up my heart. Free up my heart so I can discern and know. God, help me to know what these souls need in my life. And how can I work on myself so that I can be clearer, more fully present? Help me to experience the presence of my heart and being, my deepest, most self. And help me also to set whatever boundaries are necessary to allow that flowing to take place. Thank you, God. And so it is. Amen. Let it out. And realize that in the deepest, most innermost part of you, you're one with everyone and everything. That you are that great beating heart of God. And in that great beating heart of God, everything is one. My heart flows in oneness. I am one with everyone and everything. Feel the flow of that inner peace, that inner oneness. I have a strong heart, a flexible heart, an open heart. Oh God, I offer you this heart of mine, and I just say, open it up. Free my heart, unstick my heart. Breathe into your heart and let it unstick, let it open up. Free up your heart and let it flow. Know that in every now moment, everything that you need to do and say is provided in your heart. You will know what to say and how to say it, when to say it. Just breathe in your heart, feel it. Don't think about it. Feel the open peace flowing through your heart. Feel the inner joy established in your innermost heart. In every situation, you know what to do, how to do it, when to do it, without thought. For there is that in me that already knows. It's already connected with every other soul. And in all my dealings with other people, I just say thank you. Thank you that I'm already one with them on the level of the soul. That my spirit of goodwill and wanting the best for all, my kind, gentle nature, balanced and tempered with good boundaries, a strong sense of self. These work together to create the I am that I am, the true identity that I am. I'm an individual expression of God. I am one with all life. I am the flowingness, the oneness, the openness, the peace that passes all understanding. And I am the strength, the balance, the strong sense of the who that I am. God is ising in me. And in this now moment, I just let go into that peaceful expression of God that I am, one with all, strong, good boundaries, heartfelt oneness, a good balance. I know what to do, what to say, when to do and say it, and how. And I let go into this now moment. Peace. Peace. My Christ consciousness already knows what to do, how to be, when to speak. My God self shows up in full and perfect presence, fully present with every soul. What does this soul need? And the beingness, the unique expression of God that I am, shows up fully present. In love with all. And I say thank you. Thank you, and so it is. Amen. And read with me the green numbered affirmations. We're going to move through starting with the entire universe as we take our offerings in our hands. Together. The entire universe loves me, serves me, nurtures me, and wants me to win. There is enough for everyone. I choose in this moment to release all sense of burden, struggle, and fear. I choose to live in trust. I have wonderful gifts to give, and I choose to give generously. I have wonderful gifts to receive, and I receive joyously. Money comes to me from all directions, and I am rich. Money is energy and is here to serve me. I can be trusted to handle money spiritually. I tithe where I am fed spiritually. Money comes easily and effortlessly to me for my personal use. I am a good receiver. There is no greed in me. I love to share. There is no fear in me. God provides lavishly for me and all humanity. Large, rich, opulent, lavish financial surprises now come to me, and I am grateful.
I have wonderful projects for good in the world, and all the money I desire shows up to support my work. And so it is. Amen.